Hi, hello, folks. I hope y'all can hear me. Just realized the mic was mad far. Um, okay. Hi, it's your girl Narice, and I'm back with another live stream. I know I'm a little late. I said I'd be on here by 1 p.m. But I'm here at 1:30. I was kind of like chilling after, uh, towards the middle of my glam up. But I had to get the look together. Um, so yeah, we're here. And we're back doing part three of the best um, Apple Music's 100 best albums breakdown. So we're almost done. I thought this was going to be a simple live stream. I don't know who I was kidding with that, but we're here getting it done. So I won't prolong this too long. Um, well, actually, okay, I'll just say quickly. You know, if Well, for one, last night I did a live stream where I whipped out the MIDI controller, which I haven't done in a while, and I started reworking The Lung by Hiatus Coyote. If you don't know, they're an Australian band. They're dope, amazing, super talented, sonic geniuses. And of course, my first time getting back into like beat making and producing, I choose to cover like one of the hardest bands ever because I'm outlandish and ambitiously creative. So but I had a lot of fun. Some people popped on through and watched the live stream, so that was cool. And I will be finishing it at some point. Like I said in my live stream before, or last night, but I've mentioned this before that I'm working on putting together like a schedule for my live streams, because this one was just um this one meaning the best albums list. I knew this was like a temporary thing just because it's like I'll do the breakdown for the best albums, and then you can see my perspective and opinions and then some stories that I told in the midst of it. But something that you can expect from me a little bit more consistently would be like vocal breakdowns, doing vocal arrangements, and then also music production. Just because before I start getting back into making my own music, I do want to make sure my production skills are decent. So I'm more familiar with the software and the DAWs system that I'm using, which is Ableton. And I haven't used it in a while. Last night was my first time recording guitar on there, so I had to figure out like the nuanced things of what would work best for me, because when I would play guitar and then hear it on the speakers, it would sound a little delayed. But I figured out like, okay, if I turn the sound off but listen to me play along with the metronome, it works out better for me. So I had to like figure out those little nuanced things to make this process smooth as possible for my creative um journey, I guess, or creative process. So yeah, so you can expect to see me creating some sounds and working on some covers, because I do have like a bigger project in mind. But for now, you guys can see the creative process until I start putting these songs out. um and it's a way for me to get back into creating, which I've been what's the word? I've been missing. Just because I am an artist, but like, I stand on protecting my intellectual property and just making sure I do this the right way. But also, this is a happy medium where I can be creative and still hone my skills and build my skills as a recording artist, my engineering techniques, figuring out what my presets are, what settings and effects I like best on my voice when I'm singing a particular kind of way, getting back into learning how to make beats and compose music again. So by the time I get to a space where I feel comfortable getting back into making my own music, then those skills would already be kind of like sharpened at that point. And plus, you can get to enjoy covers of music that you're already familiar with as I build these platforms and, just try to get my creative life together. So that's currently what I'm working on. And later on, I will be doing a live stream of um, Snooze at Our Spot, because I'm working on that cover. It's a cover mashup of SZA, Snooze at Our Spot, and Willow Smith and Tyler Cole's Meet Me at Our Spot, which they formed a group, The Anxiety. And so it's like a mashup of those two songs. So yeah, that's what I'll be working on a creative front, and I'll be doing that at 5 p.m. Eastern time later on today. If you haven't already watched it, you could check out the first recording session that I did like 2 days ago, which was really fun. And it's on my live page. So if you go to my channel, if you're watching on YouTube, you can go to my channel and go to the live tabs. This is where I live stream my lives. Um, and yeah, so you can check that out. If you're watching on Kick, you can just kind of like scroll down and it'll be there. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing on the creative side of things. And we'll be live streaming later on today and working on music. So now, without further ado, we can get into the rest of this list, because I know I can be long-winded, and it can take forever, and then sometimes I get into tangents and tell stories about certain albums and what it means to me and whatnot. But also, before I get into that, like I said, I need to start doing in the beginning of these live streams is to remind you to, like, comment, subscribe respectfully if you enjoy the vibes. um you're welcome to this village, but we value respect here. You can have your opinions. We love a good debate. I've been having a lot of that happen on TikTok, which has been a lot of fun. Going back and forth with people, being musically chaotic just a bit, and like trolling a bit. But I'm here for a good debate and a good discussion. So, I've been talking a lot about the battle between Drake and Kendrick. I haven't done a long form video about it. I don't think I plan to, but I did do little snippets, just kind of like giving like short opinions about it, because I don't want to be long winded about it. And it's already like kind of over. I mean, I know people will be talking about it for a while now just because it is still relevant. But while it was happening in the moment, I was recording, but I wasn't really posting on social media. So I was like, you know what? Let me just post those videos that I recorded, because I wasn't sure if I was gonna post it at all. But I did like batch create that content, and then I just started uploading it on TikTok, and then got into several different discussions with folks on TikTok, and it was fun. It's cool. So I'm all for a musical debate, discussion, chill chat, and sharing my opinions, because even a little old me, Nerisse from Jersey, with almost 200, almost 1,000 subscribers and followers, with an almost monetized page, manifesting. Um, you know, Sometimes I just be sharing my thoughts and not thinking anything of it, and realizing like, oh, there might be more weight to this little old voice of mine. Um, so I'm like, might as well make it work in my favor, and share my thoughts and perspectives. And if you disagree, that's cool. I respect it. You're entitled to your opinions. You're entitled to your delusions, whichever. Because I know I'm entitled to mine. Um, and yeah, we talk, and I just figured, let's put it on TikTok. And TikTok has been a lot of fun for me lately. So and I'm just trying to balance the two accounts. So I have a TikTok for my artistry, and then I also have a TikTok for um, pop culture. So videos like this, where I'm just talking about my opinions about albums, music. Every now and then I might dabble into like a little science. I might get into like spiritual stuff. We'll see. But for now, we'll keep it about entertainment and pop culture. And on my artist page, I'm just trying to figure out like, okay, what's the best way to go about building content on there where I can showcase my art. Like, I see what gets engagement on there, but it's like, it's tricky when you're an artist and you're trying to display your talent. And then it's another thing for me, because they say niche down, but it's like, I can lean into like fashion TikTok, I can lean into doing covers, but then also beat making, and then also vocal production when I do these vocal breakdowns, and then there's so and then visuals, because there's times where I'll just like feel like, okay, it doesn't have to be music. I will just do it, shoot, some visuals, edit, make it a visual vibe, so there's a lot of things that I do, and as a creative. And so I'm trying to find that like happy medium where I can showcase all those things: the fashion, the visuals, the music, the musicianship, the composing, beat making side of things. So I don't know. I'm just, I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have. Like, it's too many talents. It's too many things that I'm growing. Well, I can't say like well, I will say that I'm good at. Yeah, there's so many things that I'm good at. And I say that humbly, because I always, I do brag about myself a little bit, because I'm like, if not me, then who? You got to believe in yourself, and you have to see that within yourself. But I say it from a space of being humble, because I know there's always room to improve. I know I haven't completely mastered it yet. I'm always growing and evolving, and there's more that I'm learning about styling and visuals and editing, and I'm growing as a musician, as a guitarist. And I just got back into production, and I was having fun. So, and like I say about my voice all the time, um, there's I was watching this like TikTok of these two girls in like a parking garage, and they were singing Crazy by Gnarls Barkley. And it's that, I'm sure many people have seen this clip, but it's that clip where the girl hits the high note and she like shocks herself, and because she didn't expect her to hit the note. I have those moments all the time, because like I haven't reached the peak of, or the limit to what I know my voice can do, which is like good. And like, I mean, it's a high and low with that, because it's like dope because I'm always discovering my voice, but then it's a low because sometimes I don't know my limits, and say there might be a limit, and I'm like, oh no, I might not be able to hit that note now, but if I work at it, I can. And usually when I do work at it, I do eventually get the note. So, but I have those moments all the time where I'm constantly building and discovering my voice. So, it's just a journey. It's a journey for me. So and I am humble about it, but every now and then I do talk my shit, because you got and part of that's the hip-hop fan in me. You got to talk your shit from time to time, and remind these hoes who you are, humbly, gratefully, with gratitude. So anyway, without further ado, we can get into this list. Okay, so, or actually no, maybe I need to, okay, scrunch it up like that. All right, give me 1 second. All right. Okay, the birds are chirping. I think they're excited for this breakdown as well. So, yeah, let me just hydrate. Okay, all right, y'all. Let's get into it. Because, I'll be long winded, and I got to make sure the vocals are intact. Because, just sitting here talking, it takes work. It takes work to like look at the list and, draw up your opinions and entertain, darling. It's a job. Um, all right, so we stopped at 50. All right. So now we're at 49. Right on time. So Joshua Tree, because it's 1:49 as I'm recording this, Eastern time, of course, until we start traveling and moving about the world. um, but Joshua Tree by U2. Now I'm familiar with U2 the band. I don't listen to them a whole lot, so we're gonna skip that one respectfully. Shout out to U2, y'all on the list. They're a dope band. Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique. I know Beastie Boys. I know some of the Beastie Boys songs. No Sleep Till Brooklyn. But shout out to Guitar Hero. Um, I know they have more songs than that, but I don't really. I'm not a Beastie Boy girl. I'm not gonna lie. I'm familiar with the band. I like some of their songs. I'm not a fan. But shout out to the Beastie Boys. They on the list. They made it. They made it to the top 50. So shout out to them. Okay, Drake. Drake is on the list. You know what I realized? J. Cole isn't on this list either. I know I talked about Kid Cudi not being on this list, but I realized I don't think J. Cole's on this list. Forest Hill Drive could have made this list. Even though that's not my personal favorite J. Cole album, it's one of them. It's definitely one of them. Um, I know this is supposed to be about Drake, but since there's the whole like top, after big three, top three, J. Cole's still top three to me. Like, I know y'all trying to clown him, and I got into it with folks on TikTok about the grippy verse. Look, okay, my thing is, and yes, I did give my perspective before hearing the song, and I still stand on my perspective because the thing is, that song wasn't a song where you would expect bars from J. Cole. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's supposed to be a chill song. It's a song for the kids, to vibe to. What did y'all expect this man to do? Like, y'all wanted him to like rap circles and bars and lyrical spiritual stuff. It's a chill vibe. Like, just let the man, you know, J. Cole, he's at a particular age, he got kids. He just wanna have some fun. You know what I mean? Like, he tired of rapping circles around these dudes. He just wanna have a little bit of fun and talk about, whatever he was saying about the, gripping on the hips and all of that, whatever. Let Pop have some fun. Damn. you know. Anyway. All right, so we on Drake. Drake, Take Care. Now I can understand why this album is on this list. Um, let's pull up the track list because there are some great records on this album. And you know what? And I have to listen to this album all the way through because I haven't in a while. And even though I did recently put a playlist together where I put in like some like bops from the 2010s, like R&B, like that chill R&B kind of vibe, like Janae Aiko. Is it Janae Aiko or Aiko? Aiko? But Janae, y'all know who I'm talking about. Her, like Kendrick, Drake, J. Cole, like when they were all like coming up, they're all so like certified legends and superstars and all of that stuff in their own right. Even with Drake getting clowned, we not gonna act like his discography ain't what it is. You know what I mean? Like the albums are already there, the bops are already there. So I was going back and like putting this playlist together of, just those songs that I remember like listening to and as they were on the come up when they were young and putting hits out, and from when I was like in high school and transitioning into going into college. And it was just like such a time. It was such a time. And I was like working at that time. I think I was like working at, that's when I first started working at AMC, which was like my first job, which, if you watched the Truman Show, you'd already know. Um, but yeah, and I was just like having a nostalgic moment, like, oh my gosh, this was such a time when my life was so much easier than what it is now. Even though I was like such an awkward little thing back then, but it's okay. We grow and evolve. But, I just wanted to put a playlist together of that like time and mood. And as they were kind of like coming up as artists, and a lot of songs from this album was on that playlist because that was that time. And so speaking of, so let's do Drake, Take Care. And you know what? I will say, like, I'm not crazy about Drake's album covers, like, as a whole. Like, if you look at his discography, I just wish he just had better album covers. And that's just the creative director in me. You know, and I'm not even talking about, like, the whole, like, For the Dogs and Her Lost thing, even though we could get into that. But I'm not even talking about that because those weren't even albums that I cared to listen to. Um, but albums, even when at the height of like when I was paying attention to Drake with like Views, Take Care, and what's that other one? Why is his discography showing like this? Like show me the, okay, here we go. Okay, so yeah, I'm just like, I'm not crazy about these album covers, Drake. Like, who's your creative director? And maybe you should consider working with me. I'm just saying. And look, I know you can clown me and say like, "Oh, but what about your album cover?" And I only have one project, yes, but I'm since then and since me honing my skills in the meantime, I've definitely grown and evolved as a visual artist. Um, and I have several photo shoots and photos to prove that. And I know that going forward, it would be better. But I say all this to say, Take Care is my favorite cover of his. Like, it just has that, like, it gives regal, it gives classic, it looks like a classic album cover, with the golden like picture frames and the candelabra moments. It gives like classic album. Nothing was the same, like great songs on there, but I'm not crazy about this album. No shade to the artists who made these covers, because I understand it's not just one person. Like, it takes a team. No shade to those folks, and even Views. Like, Views is okay, in terms of a cover, but it's my personal favorite Drake album, which I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I probably would have preferred Views on here over Take Care, but I see why Take Care is on here. Um, you know, I see why it's there. But yeah, no, sorry. But Take Care has the best album cover to me. I know I didn't really talk too much about that when it came to these albums, but like that is something about Take Care that I really liked, is just whatever photo shoot that they did and whoever directed it and put it together and picked the location and the elements and the color palettes, like the black and the gold, like those elements are just so classic. You can't go wrong with black and gold. Like, you can't fuck up black and gold. And it just gives like, oh, I'm about to do my shit with this album. And this was like his sophomore album, I believe, if we're not counting mixtapes, because he came out with Thank Me Later a year before, and then Take Care. And Take Care was like him like putting his stamp on the game, like, all right, y'all, I'm here. Um, okay, I'm gonna list off the track list, but I'll just specifically talk about songs that I know I like. Um, which is okay, so there's Over My Dead Body, Shot for Me, Headlines, A Bop. And that's so crazy. There's so many songs on here that like have over 100 million views or listens, plays. Um, Crew Love, back in the day when things were sweet between Drake and The Weeknd. Take Care, same thing between him and Rihanna. I mean, him and Rihanna, like, they just don't make bad music together. Like, anytime they get together and collaborate, it's a bop. And it's not just like a filler song, like they're hits every time. Like, what's the other song with them? Oh na na, what's my name? That was my jam for a long time, and probably one of my favorite songs off of the Loud album. Like, anytime Drake and Rihanna collaborate, like, it's a smash. No pun intended. Anyway, Marvin's Room. I mean, classic. And shout out to JoJo's cover of that, which is super dope, because I know she was going through it with her label at the time. But when she was coming out with mixtapes and covers and stuff like that, and that moment went viral, shout out to JoJo. But Marvin's Room, a vibe. Buried Alive interlude with Kendrick Lamar. I hurt your feelings. You don't want to work with me no more. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to be serious. I'm so unserious in this particular moment in time. But I tell you, 2011, back when life was a lot simpler for everybody, really. Um, okay, hold on. I got a lot of stuff in the way here. Okay, I could just look at the list on the live stream. Okay, yeah, so that way I know if I'm looking crazy, I can see myself. Okay, anyway, um, we'll be fine. I'm not gonna, like I said, I still gotta listen to this album all the way through. I mainly know the singles for the most part. Like, it's a lot of this album that I pretty sure I listened to, like, just, like I said before, you just put an album on and then you just kind of do things, and then you hear certain songs, don't know what it's called, but you're like, oh, okay, I like that one. something like that. That's probably my experience with this album. Ooh, excuse me. Um, but okay, so there's um Underground Kings will be fine, Make Me Proud, A Bop, one of my favorites, Lord Knows, Cameras. The good old days with him and Rick Ross. Oh my god, it's like everybody on here, everybody on this album, like from The Weeknd to Rihanna to Kendrick. And I always wondered about that, like how artists um navigate the world when, like, say if you collaborated with somebody at one point and then, like, say you might not like fuck with them no more, or like you might not you won't worry me no more. Okay, all right. But you know what I mean? Like how creatives can, relationships, people grow apart, people grow, people evolve. And, or say you might have been beefing with somebody and then you're cool. And say you made a diss track about somebody years ago and then, like, years later you become friends. Kind of like, Jay-Z and Nas, how they battled and they beefed. And now they're taking like billionaire pictures together in their suits, and and DJ Khaled videos smoking cigars, playing poker, looking all fancy and rich, like, haha, we've elevated to this elite status of black excellence in hip hop. I mean, and I love that. I love that for the culture, and for them as black folks elevating in life, coming from the hard streets of New York. um but I always wonder how that is as an artist. Maybe more so when things are like positive, and then it kind of goes sour later on. I don't know. I should know. It's like the synopsis of my life. But anyway, um, where we at? Cameras, good ones. Doing it wrong. The real her. My God, there's a lot of songs on this album. Look what you've done. Oh yeah, fucking right. Practice, the ride, the motto. Motto is about. Yeah, there's a lot of bops on here. It's a lot of bops. Um, you know, yeah, it's certified classic. I see why this album is on here, and it should be on here. But there should be other albums on here too. Like if we gonna have, two of the big three, J. Cole should have been on here too. I don't know who was voting, but at least I would understand if Forest Hill Drives was on this list. Even though that's, I feel like maybe rap wise, maybe not his best album, but commercial, critical acclaim, success wise, that album would make sense on here. So I don't know. We'll see. Um, yeah, but yeah, it's a dope album. My personal favorites are Headlines. Man, the beat on that track is dope. In that video too. Even though I feel like you can catch it, like get like a stroke watching that video. But like whoever edited it, making like the things change to the beat, like that is such a skill in itself. I don't know if there's like an effect where it can do that automatically. I feel like with the advancement in technology and AI, you probably can. But trying to do that by yourself, like my editor brain talking now, trying to do that by yourself, editing songs and visuals to like coincide where it's like going to the beat, and if the beat is changing really quick, my goodness, it's such a headache. But whoever did the editing for that video, shout out to them. Crew Love, Take Care, Marvin's Room, Make Me Proud. I gotta listen to all them other songs, and then the motto, like all jams and bops to me. So yeah, I mean, shout out my nigga Drake. Word to Lil Wayne. Um, but yeah, see, like, I don't know. Actually, nah, I still fuck with Views though. Views is my shit. Views is my shit though. Yeah, there's a lot of bops on Views. Even though I see why. I mean, and literally One Dance has like 3 billion streams, and 1 billion is probably me. Um, so I mean, I get it though. It makes sense why Take Care is up here. All right. Anyway, Bob Marley. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it. I think this was the album that he made after that whole like shooting incident that happened in Jamaica way back when. Don't ask me the specifics. Do your own research. I just know like certain details and like moments in Bob Marley's life, but of course he's Jamaican royalty, and there was like this whole shooting thing that happened at one point, and so he dipped off and went to London, and then started working on this album. I believe this is the album. I feel like it is, and I feel like he's one of those people where I haven't really paid attention to like albums because like he has so many hits, and I feel like my life was just like raised on like greatest hits Bob Marley. Well, okay, not necessarily, because it's not like I heard a lot of Bob Marley in the house. I more so heard it when I was working in a I'm trying to say the right terminology. I usually would call it like a hippie shop, but I don't want to say that because some people might be offended by that terminology. Even though I think a hippie is dope to be, but when I was working in esoterical spaces with crystals and vibes and stuff, I was like, Bob, I think they played Bob Marley, like there was a Bob Marley CD in the store, and then I listened to more Bob Marley on my own because of that, and I'm like, oh, you know what, Bob got some bops aside from like the stuff that we all heard like on the the sandals, Bahamas, the cruise commercials and stuff like that. Don't worry about a thing. They love to throw that in there. Throw a little Bob Marley, look at the blue shores. They love to do that for those commercials. And it works. And it works because it makes me want to sit up there on that beach and listen to some Bob Marley drinking a pina colada out of a coconut and just don't worry about a thing. Cause every little thing is gonna be all right. I'm like, damn, it just might be. It just might be all right. I believe it. If Bob says it, I believe it. Okay, but I'm trying to find the albums. Why is Spotify so complicated like this? Like, or is it just because? Okay, all right. Yeah, that's because I have this cropped in a crazy way. Anyway, all right, so Exodus, but I'm looking at the deluxe version, so there's like 30 songs. Okay, all right, no, we're just gonna talk about the first disc. All right, so Natural Mystic, So Much Things to Say, Guiltiness, The Heathen, Exodus, Jammin', Waiting in Vain, Turn Your Lights Down Low, Three Little Birds, One Love. Okay, all right, so I was about to say, I might not know this album like that. Okay, there's a few bops on here that I know I love. Um, so Waiting in Vain is a bop. I love that song very much. I know how to play it on guitar. Um, Jammin', we're jamming on a jammin' with you. Let me make sure that's the right jamming. I think it is. Okay, all right. We're not gonna play too much because I gotta keep my coins. Um, so jamming, yes, a bop. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. The first half of this album, I don't know them songs, so I'm gonna have to listen to it. Waiting in Vain, oh, such a good song. Turn Your Lights Down Low. I think I know this one. The title sounds familiar. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know this one. Okay, and Three Little Birds, of course, is a classic. I literally was just singing it, and like I say, it's on all those cruise ship vacation resort commercials. Big song in I Am Legend with Will Smith. Even though it didn't look like every little thing was going to be all right in that situation, but it was a great song though. Great song. Um, yeah, One Love. People Get Ready. That's another one too. That's another one that be on them commercials. But yeah, man, Bob, with a catalog. And I mean, there's some other songs that's not on this album that I feel like are really good. Like, Is This Love? Could You Be Loved? So many love songs. We love a love song. And what's the other one? Redemption Song, which I've performed and practiced on here a few times. Um, Satisfy My Soul. I love that one. It's an underrated one. It's a deep cut. It's a B side. It's a a album joint. But I love that record. And those are all on different albums. But Exodus has some bops on there. So yeah, I can see why that's on there. And this album, I remember like watching a documentary on his life, watching a few documentaries on his life, and like the process of him getting up to making this album. It was a big deal. So yeah, I can understand. All right, so we have Bjork. Um, Now I know she's iconic. I know she's great, and but I don't know her music like that. I definitely have to like deep dive into her catalog. All right, hold on, y'all. I gotta get my list together real quick. Okay. I'm like, because I'm like, sometimes you be talking and you get like, you're not ashy, but you get like a little bit crusty in the corners. Like, that's what was happening to me. And I'm like, I'm too fabulous for this. And I'm like, let me get it together. All right, y'all. So Bjork. I don't know this album. I don't know her catalog like that. I recently listened to a song of hers that she came out with like a year ago or so, and it's a vibe. She's definitely very unique and eclectic, and I feel like she's an artist that I would probably like fuck with, like especially visually. Like I know like her looks and just like the fashion and just how unique she is. I know like I don't know. I guess maybe I'm like waiting for the perfect moment to like really like deep dive into Bjork. I know there's gonna be some songs in here like why did I wait so long to listen to this? Like I know she's amazing, um, but I haven't gotten into her stuff yet. So soon come. Unless y'all got if y'all listen to Bjork and y'all got y'all know some songs, some albums, visuals. I know like visuals. I know I she's my girl. I know like in the future. So I have to like catch up. I definitely have to catch up to her. Because she's still putting stuff out now that's like visually dope and using technology and stuff. And like I mentioned before, like Dawn also talked about how dope Bjork is and how she influences her in terms of her visuals and how she dabbles in animation and VR and incorporating that into her art. So I know like all of that shit is cool to me. Like I love that. So we'll catch up. We'll catch up. We'll catch up to her. All right. So we're on Stevie Wonder. Okay. And you know what? I forgot to mention that Stevie Wonder is also another one of the artists on this list that are on here multiple times. So, shout out to Stevie Wonder because I think Intervisions is on here, and then Songs in the Key of Life are on here as well. Is on this list in the top five, top 10, I believe. Either top, definitely top 10. I'm not sure. It's top five. Anyway, man, but he has so many good albums though. Man, like how much music can you have? All right, and all of it just be so good. All right, Intervisions, Too High Visions, Living for the City, Golden Lady, Higher Ground, Jesus, Children of America, All in Love is Fair, Don't You Worry About a Thing, His Mistra, Know It All. Okay, he's Mr. Know It All. Sorry, I feel like Angie is on me. Angie's my cat, by the way, and I just cut her hair earlier, and she was not thrilled about the process. But you know what? I've grown a lot because it used to be a fight between us. But I didn't get upset with her. I did actually for a moment, but then I had to calm down. And I was like, let me relax. Let me not pop this cat. I guess that's what she said. That might have been what she said. Anyway, so, it was a better experience. I've matured. I've grown as a cat lady. Anyway, it's beside the point. Stevie Wonder. Okay, so I haven't listened to this whole album in its entirety, but I know a handful of songs on here. So, Living for the City. You know what's funny? I have a story about that song. Back in the day, when I was transitioning between. Actually, no, I was already going to a different middle school at this time, and I was at my high school, but I went back to my elementary school to work with my music teacher there, Miss Ford. Rest in peace, Miss Ford, who was one of my favorite teachers. And the thing is, like, I feel like my struggle as a kid being a creative and a singer was that I was in all these spaces that required you to sing like in a classical way, and that wasn't my vocal style. Like, I always wanted to sing R&B, and I just felt like there was no space for me to do that. I just always felt like, where do the R&B girls go, especially when you're like younger, and yeah. So anyway, and she was a classically trained singer, and she played piano. She's a pianist as well, and mind you, a black woman who can sing and play piano. And she was just, and I always gravitated towards her because she was like straight no chaser, sharpshooter, and she would get us together as kids and be like, you're not about to cut up in this class. But I remember being in her class really struggling with music theory, but I had a good ear though, and that was always my gift with music. And so there was like an audition for this scholarship at my middle school, high school. I went there for middle school 1 year, but majority of my high school year was there. And so there was a scholarship. It was a musical scholarship, and I wanted to participate in it. And so she told me to like give her like a list of songs, and so I have like all like pop and R&B songs because that's the type of music that I sing. That's where my voice shines the best. And this happened to be one of the songs on there. So like I was like, okay, everybody loves Stevie Wonder, so I think I had like Living for the City on there. I had like some Christina Aguilera, her Reflections. Um I forget who else. It was like a handful of songs. It was like a range of music, and so I presented the songs to her, and she's like, "Girl, you cannot sing these songs for this scholarship that you're trying to do." Like, like, and I get what she was trying to say, but it like really like bumped me out a bit because I'm like, well, like, what am I supposed to do? Like classical music? Like, I don't sing classical music. I only sing it because I have to. Because in school there was like the choral, choir performances and stuff like that, and in the acapella groups. And there was one acapella group where we did like pop songs and stuff like that, but I always wanted to sing R&B music. And mind you, in high school I went to a predominantly white school, so there wasn't a lot of R&B going on there, unless there was like the one event that I had, like the talent show, that was like the one event that I looked forward to every year, because that was the one place where I get to sing whatever I wanted, and I could do a pop song, I could sing an R&B song, and it was cool because it was the talent show. But anyway, that was years later. But at this point I was in middle school, and so she's like, "Girl, you can't sing this song." And so she's like, "Maybe if you listen to like Celine Dion, like that might be able to like work better with what you're trying to do." And then I forget what other songs she recommended that I try. And mind you, I still to this day don't listen to enough Celine Dion, because even though I know she's a part of the vocal trinity with Mariah and Whitney, I gravitated the most towards Mariah. But I always appreciated Whitney Houston as a vocalist, and just her being an amazing artist because she's from Newark, New Jersey, and I'm a Jersey girl, born in Newark, or so I'm told. I don't know. I could have been from a different planet. Who knows? But Celine, it took me a while to like lean into Celine Dion, because like I mentioned about Mariah before in my last live stream, what I liked about Mariah Carey when I was younger was her more R&B sounding songs. I didn't really like, it took me a while to appreciate her adult contemporary ballads and stuff like that. Like when I was younger, because I didn't want to hear that song, them songs. No shade. Like they were amazing. And now that I'm older, I can go back to those songs like Vision of Love and Love Takes Time and you know, all those songs from like her first few albums, and I can appreciate it now because I'm older. But when I was younger, I liked the songs like Fantasy when she had the hip hop artists, you know, collaborating with her. That was more my vibe. And so Celine Dion, she was more of that like adult contemporary, and she could sing down for sure. But I just never got into her music like that because I couldn't appreciate it at that age. So anyway, beside the point. But yeah, I wanted to sing "Living for the City" for this scholarship, and I ended up going with Christina Aguilera, "Reflections," and I didn't get the scholarship. Long story short, but you know, um, I wanted to do something that felt more like me. And, you know, this song, even though I don't know how I was going to be able to sing the song. He's like growling through the whole song. And I'm like, and my voice wasn't developed enough to do all that. And that, I think that's what my music teacher was trying to like say to me. But she was saying it in a way that was too forthright for me. And I couldn't like take it then. But now in hindsight, I get where she was coming from. So I'm like, you know, you would think I live in New York with all the traffic that be going on my street. But yeah, so I can, in hindsight, I can appreciate where what she was trying to tell me and how she was guiding me. And so I was doing like vocal classes with her and just trying to work on my voice to prepare for this like audition. But yeah, I wanted to do the Stevie Wonder song. But anyway, short story um, about this record. Golden Lady. Is this the song that I think it is? Yeah, I love this song. This is one of those songs that kind of like snuck up on me later on in life. Um, and yeah, it's a beautiful song. Higher Ground, amazing. Don't You Worry About a Thing. Man, there's so many. I have so many stories with that song. I mean, and it brings me back to that time of when I was at Trinity. My music teacher, Miss Ford, who taught me there. Um, there was my brother would play this song a lot on piano. He would play a lot of Stevie Wonder, which is kind of like how I really became a fan of Stevie Wonder. He would play this song, "Knocks Me Off My Feet," and you know, we would just kind of like sing along when we were growing up. And I always remember loving this song, and he would play this song a lot. And I wanted to, I think we had, I forget what kind of event it was. It wasn't a talent show, but it was something like a talent show. And it was elementary school, and there was a lot of, I mean, I'm trying to think cuz we were singing in the cathedral, and it wasn't like a mass was happening there. I think there might have been a service or something. I forget what the occasion was. But I do remember there was an event where people were performing doing their talent thing, and I wanted to sing this song, and then a friend of mine, and from that class, she wanted to sing something too, and I think it was suggested that we sing something together, and so we ended up singing this song together, and so I took a verse and she took a verse, and then and we, you know, and this kind of like was like a song for us to sing, and it was a cool memory. It was a cool moment because she's a really good singer, and I think she still does music. Last time I saw her was like a few years ago. She had put an event together to promote a single of hers, and we hadn't hung out in a long time. But you know, me being the person that I am, if I see anybody's like, you know, creating something or starting a business or doing something, I'm always down to support. So you know, even though I hadn't like talked with her in a while or like hung out with her, well, actually, one time that I did see her not long before then was at a ladies event, a ladies open mic event that I put together years ago. That was a mess. I mean, it was cool, but it was a lot going on. And she came out and she performed there. And so the next time I saw her was at her event where she put together an event to showcase her songs that she was working on. And so I went out and hung out with her and some of her people for a little bit, and it was cool. And yeah, it was interesting. But I haven't like talked to her in a while. Like last time I talked to her, she was just saying like it's taking her a while to put out music and stuff because she has kids now. So she's being a mom, trying to care for her kids, work, and then also pursue music. And she was just talking about the whole process of like copywriting, and I'm like, oh girl, if only I knew then what I know now. I mean, I've always been one to like value protecting your intellectual property and getting stuff copywritten, but not realizing I was dealing with some cyber threats and attacks at the time that I wasn't aware of. And so, but at the same token, like I did protect my music. My project that I came out with is just other music, unreleased music that's been leaked and whatever. But that's a whole nother story for another time. But yeah, so when I think of this song, well, not every time I think of this song, but now that I'm like reminiscing about that moment, I think of my like friend that I grew up with, and yeah, and that time we sung this song together. So there's a lot of cool memories with this, and this album is also referenced in Snow Allegra's um, "I Want You Around." Um, I'm trying to think, how does that pre-hook start? On streets and every day, sitting right next to you. What I feel about you, we don't really want. But she said like want to hear Innovations and replay, and then I kind of like added my own lyric to that at the end, like all I do is think about you, another Stevie Wonder song, not on this album, but there was a Stevie Wonder reference, so I kind of like went with it. um but yeah, so yeah, classic songs on this album. um they're all amazing. I mean, can Stevie Wonder make a bad song? No. you know so yeah, shout out to Intervisions. All right, and so now we have Talking Heads. Now, I am a Talking Heads fan. This I don't know if I'm familiar with this album exactly. I might know some songs on here. Um but I personally like um excuse me, Speaking in Tongues, which is another album from them that has like Burning Down the House, This Must Be the Place. That's my personal favorite Talking Heads album because I actually like sat with the album and listened to it all the way through. And there's some bops on there. And you know what? Talking Heads, well, at least that album in particular, that album specifically, Speaking in Tongues, there's a vibe to it that reminds me of Prince. Like he has a very like groovy, funky kind of vibe, and it's like really eclectic and it's like alternative, and it's like how do you even classify Talking Heads as a genre? Because they've been genres, and there's elements that feels funky and soulful, and then there's moments that feels like rock, but it's not rock music, and then it feels like pop. Like I don't know, but that's what makes them so cool. Shout out to David Byrne, um, who is the lead vocalist. All right, so I'm trying to find this album. Once in a Lifetime. I had a feeling like Once in a Lifetime was probably on this album. I'm trying to get to the album though. That's where I'm trying to go. All right, so I'm like, what's on this record? Okay, Born Under Punches, Cross-eyed, and oh, that sounds crazy. Cross-eyed and painless, Great Curve, Once in a Lifetime, Houses in Motion, Seen and Not Seen, Listening When, Over, Fila's Riff, Unison. Okay, I don't know this album at all. Aside from Once in a Lifetime. That's the one song off this album that I know. So I guess I got to deep dive and listen to this one. Um, but yeah, like I said, Speaking in Tongues is my John. That's my album. I love that from them. But yeah, Once in a Lifetime is a classic record. Once in a lifetime. You know, I'm don't want no copyrights going off here. But is Burning Down the House on that? Yeah, yeah, I just said that. Down the House is on Speaking in Tongues. Um, but yeah, Talking Heads, a vibe. Love them. And that's all I'll say. You know, I feel bad because like I do really like this band, but I don't know all their albums. So, and the one album that they have on here isn't an album that I listen to. But you know, shout out to Talking Heads, shout out to David Byrne, shout out to everybody else that was on in the band. Um, all right, next we got Janet Control. Now I know me some Janet, and I'm very familiar with her catalog, or majority of her catalog. So we're gonna go to Control, which is an album that I've been listening to a bit recently because I have the CD and I'll listen to CDs in my car um, when I'm driving. So this came out 1986. All right, so we got Control. Mind you, this album is just full of hits. Okay, let's just talk about that. This album just has hits start to finish. So we got Control, right? The big song of like her breaking out of control from her father trying to dictate her career. Girl, I feel you. I felt her on that. She was like, "Yes, you know, I'm grown. I'm doing my own thing." Did what her father said and let her mother mold her. She's like, "But now I'm all grown up. I'm in control." So yeah, we got Control. We got Nasty. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty, you know, classic lines. What have you done for me lately? Classic song. Shout out to Paula Abdul, who did the choreography for a lot of the videos during this time. Um, you Can Be Mine. That's, you know, just an album cut song. I'm not crazy about that song, but you know, it's on there. Pleasure Principle, a bop, legendary video with her doing the choreography in the wherever she was in a warehouse, jumping on furniture, flipping chairs and shit, but making it look smooth. Shout out to Pleasure Principle. When I Think of You, I think that might be my favorite song off this album. I think it has such a catchy melody and is a really dope, like, yeah, melodically. And shout out to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And you know what's really dope about her partnership with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis? Through the years, she's collaborated them. And even as her sound has evolved, it sounds like she's working with different producers. But most of the stuff is with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis because I'm pretty sure they worked on Velvet Rope with her. And Velvet Rope sounds like a completely different album than her earlier stuff. And I think Janet is one of the few artists who successfully made music that transcends time, but also evolved with the times. So it didn't sound like outdated. And even as she was evolving with the times and as an artist, it never sound like, oh sorry. It never sound like she was trying to compete with the younger folks or like trying to keep up. It just sounded natural. And it didn't even sound like she was doing what other artists were doing. She still had her own sound in the midst of all of that. Like Velvet Rope and the Janet album. I don't know any other R&B albums that sound like that. Like there's songs that fit in a playlist with it, but she wasn't really following trends of what other people were doing. She was doing her own thing. And I thought that was really cool and really dope. And even today, like even the albums that she's come out with in the you know 21st century still sounds relevant with the times. It doesn't sound like she's trying to be hip and young, but it sounds true to Janet, but it doesn't sound like she's limited to, oh, she came up in the 80s. You know, like her music always sounds new and fresh, but it doesn't sound like it sounds current without sounding like what everybody else is doing. Which is what I can appreciate about her and her partnership with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So anyway, next song. He Doesn't Know I'm Alive. It's an upbeat bop. Let's Wait a While, that's the ballad that's on here. It gets a little slow, and it's just Let's Wait a While, which I think is very interesting that Let's Wait a While is, towards the end of the album here, and then Funny How Time Flies. So those are two of like the slower songs on this album. Most of these songs are upbeat dance bops, choreo, you could jam and groove to it. Let's Wait a While slows things down a bit. And then Funny How Time Flies seems like it's kind of like a little bit more on the sensual side. She doesn't get too explicit with the lyrics, but she's kind of like moaning on the track or whatever. Which is very interesting because this plays literally right after Let's Wait a While. So it's like, how long was you really waiting, Janet? I want to know. Um, seemed like she waited about 4 minutes and 37 seconds. But anyway, dope album, amazing, classic album. This was like her unofficial debut album because she technically already had two albums before this, but she didn't give up on herself. She refined her style and her look and her vibe and made a classic record. So yeah, shout out to the Control album. All right. Outcast. I can never pronounce this album. Equanimity? Equimini? Equimini? I'm sorry, y'all. Don't eat me up, okay? The witches are already trying to eat me up. Like, let me live. Okay, don't not too much on me. Not too much on me, y'all. But okay, so I know people often talk about this album. Everybody says this album is on their list all the time when it comes to Outkast. So we got Hold On Be Strong, Return of the G. And I think I might have listened to it like one time all the way through. But there's a few songs on here that actually, I don't know enough songs on this record. Not gonna lie. I think the Okay, yeah, I might have to skip this one. I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, I'm more familiar with their singles. Sorry. Um, I do like Rosa Parks though. Rosa Parks was my shit because my brother played that song a lot when we was growing up. Um, yeah. So honestly, respectfully, I'm gonna have to skip this one. I'm sorry, y'all. Don't eat me up. And mind you, I like me some Outcast. I do. I think I'm more familiar with Stankonia because, like, yeah, Fresh and Clean is on there. Miss Jackson's on there. Bombs Over Baghdad. I know that one. The singles. I'm not gonna lie to y'all and act like I know the album cuts like that. I kind of don't. I haven't really like sat with um Outcast like albums, or maybe Speakerbox. I might have heard the Speakerbox album. Sorry, y'all. Forgive me. I don't know enough of the project to give you anything. But yeah, shout out to Rosa Parks. Push that buzz. Everybody move to the back of the buzz. Do you want to bump inch with I know some of the songs. Okay. So moving on to Aretha. Aretha Franklin. I never loved a man the way I love you. Now this is one heck of a title. Okay, and this came out 1967. All right, so we got Respect on here, Drowning My Own Tears, I Never Loved the Man the Way I Love You, um, Soul Serenade, Don't Let Me Lose This Dream, Baby, 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 Dr. Feelgood, Good Times, Do Right Woman, Do Right Man, Save Me, Change Is Gonna Come, Respect. Okay, what is this, like a deluxe version? Or okay, honestly, I don't know a whole lot on these albums. And I haven't listened to a lot of Aretha Franklin growing up, aside from the stuff that was on the radio. But I didn't hear a lot of her catalog or either some of her other hits until later on in life. Like Say a Prayer for You and Natural Woman, I've known that song. Um but honestly, when it comes to Aretha, like what my personal favorite album is the American Grace. American Grace. Amazing Grace, y'all. Amazing Grace. um, which was the album that she did when she filmed a gospel album after she was already an established artist. And we know her for her gospel roots, but she had already had hits like doing secular music. And so it's that gospel album that gives me life. And then what really put me onto that was when they found, because at first they recorded video footage of that, and then something happened where they lost the footage or didn't think that they had access to it, and then they were able to recover the footage and put together a documentary in recent years, like in like a few years ago. And so I remember watching that and just being so moved by her voice, and just like the choir, and it was just everything for me. So that's like my go-to, like get me right with the Lord album. So I'm not going to talk too much about this album, but shout out to Aretha. I'm glad she's on this list because she is a vocal matriarch and pioneer. And something that Mariah says is that any run that you hear anybody do, any ad lib, one way or another originated from Aretha. Like when it comes to runs, and I've even noticed that too in myself, like in listening to like Beyonce, Christina Aguilera, Mariah Carey, like vocally, even listening to Whitney, and just the runs that I've picked up from them naturally. And then like you have your go-to like regular, ooh, just like regular, I'd call them like cliche runs, but they're not cliche. It's just like go-to runs that you hear a lot of people do. Oh yeah, ooh, just something like that. And I'll listen to Aretha, and then something that I would have naturally done, like singing along and just kind of going off and doing my own run. And then it'll be the same run that she's doing on the record. Like if I'm listening for the first time and I hadn't heard the song before, and I'm just kind of like singing along, just adding runs. I'm like, oh, okay, look at me and Aretha being in the same frequency. But really, she's the originator. Like everybody one way or another, whether you knew it or not, learned and gained that skill from Aretha. So shout out to Queen Aretha Franklin. Rest in peace. May she rest in peace, and and be celebrated as the royalty that she is. Um. So yeah. All right. Next, Illmatic, Nas. Okay, now this is an album that I am familiar with. So this is, first of all, to come out the gate, to debut your hip hop career with an album like Illmatic. Like, amazing, 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 amazing. Um, all right, so we got the Genesis, New York State of Mind, Life's a Bitch until you, that's why we get high, because you never know when you're gonna, hey, life's a bitch until you. All right, anyway. The world's yours. Whose world is this? The world is yours. The world is mine, is mine. I mean, whose world is this? Okay. Rest in peace, Ill Will. God bless your life. I don't know that man, but God bless Ill Will. Um, Halftime, dope, dope, dope. Just dopeness. Memory Lane, Sitting in the Park, One Love, One Love, One Love, One Love. Do 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 do. I'm trying to do like the bells in the background. Okay. One Time for Your Mind. Represent is my shit. Represent. Okay, all right, y'all. I'm going off. Y'all would think that I'm like a Nas stan. I'm not. I'm a fan of hip hop and I'm a fan of good music. I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the album, but respect to Nas. I don't listen to enough Nas to say that I'm like actually like a fan. But I fuck with this record though. This record is everything. It ain't hard to tell. Man, such a good album. And you know what? I do have to listen to this album again and really like listen for it for lyrics, because like I've mentioned before, when I would listen to music, it would primarily be for production and like listening to the beats. And really got the creme de la creme of producers to work on this album, from Q-Tip to DJ Premier to Pete Rock to I know there's more that I'm forgetting right now, but man, for your debut album, like, who do you think you are to be like, hey yo, I need DJ Premier on my album? You know what I mean? Like, just quality records and stand the test of time raps. Like, and what was he, like 20 when this came out? Something crazy like that. Like, he was young, but like, man, Illmatic is such an amazing album. I'm glad it's on here. I'm glad it's on here. I'm like I said before on my first one, I'm not going to debate the order of albums, because you can, anytime there's a list, you can't ever please anybody. Everybody's going to be upset. There's always going to be somebody upset about, oh, this person should have been ahead of this person, this album should have been here. Can't please nobody. Everybody going to be mad. But I'm just highlighting the folks that are here, and just, even if I don't know the album, I'll like mention the albums that I do know and the artistry, and liking them as an artist. But like I said, J. Cole should have been on this list. um you know but even though he let Nas down, but he made a comeback though, and he should have been on this list. But that's beside the point. But yeah, shout out to Illmatic. It's a dope album. If you haven't listened to it, you need to. It's amazing. Good shit. All right. All right. Who's next? Who's next? Dun-dun-dun, 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 dun-dun-dun. Okay, where is the? Okay, here we go. All right, so we're gonna scroll. We're gonna scroll. I'm already gonna let you know. Carol King, don't know who that is. I've heard the name, but I don't know enough to give you a perspective. Tapestry, shout out to them. Shout out to them making a list. Um, Enter the Wu Tang Clan, 36 Chambers. Now, okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Wu Tang. I'm familiar with their story more than the music, because I watched the show, I've watched the documentaries. Like any hip hop documentary that exists, I've probably seen it, because that's my vibe. I love a good hip hop doc. Um, and and learning the backstories of the pioneers and legends of hip hop. And I probably know people's stories more than the music, to be very frank and forthright with y'all. Wu Tang Clan. Now, I it's so funny because there was okay, I didn't know about Cream until like a few years ago. Not a few years ago, maybe like 10 years ago. And people would reference it. Like, I remember when I was doing door to door sales, working with my brother and his friend at the time. I don't know if they're still friends or not. And their group was called Cream. Cream, cash, get the, cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money, dollar bill, y'all. I didn't know the reference. I was like, what are y'all talking about? They like, you don't know Cream about Wu Tang? I'm like, no. And mind you, I didn't really listen to Wu Tang like that. And I never really remembered my brother to listen to a lot of Wu Tang. So usually I was getting my hip hop from him until I started like venturing off and, discovering my own music. So I'm like, all right, well, let me hear this Wu Tang thing. And they're dope. And and then understanding the backstory and realizing that it's like 20 different people in a group, and they're all rapping, like everybody got bars, was crazy. And yeah, so, and it's funny because I have like a quadruple entendre referencing this song actually now on a record that hasn't come out yet, but y'all will hear it eventually. But and then also, I wasn't familiar with this album. Like, I had seen the cover a lot. I know people often talk about it when people put like all top 5 albums. This is often referenced. And I also remember the whole thing about when this album was coming out. This is their debut album. And I believe they were unsure of how it was gonna be received, because there was like, I forget what other albums came out around the same time during that year. I know A Tribe Called Quest came out. Hold on, let's do a little research. Wu Tang Clan. I know it was a big deal that there was like hella hip hop albums that came out the same day. Okay. Okay. Hip hop albums released November 1993. Okay. So it was a significant day in hip hop history with the release of two acclaimed albums. Okay, so it was Enter the Wu Tang came out, and then Midnight Marauders by A Tribe Called Quest came out, which is one of my favorite Tribe albums. I mean, honestly, I love this equally as much as I love Low End Theory, um, because they're just both really dope albums. And I'm pretty sure Tribe is on this list. I know that for certain. I forget which album it is. I forget which album is on the list. I'm like, can y'all see the list? Okay, see this the bullshit right here. I don't think we got to Tribe yet. Okay, yeah, we talked about. Oh, no, we haven't gotten there yet. Okay, Low End Theory is on here. All right, we're about to get to Low End Theory. Okay, all right. Well, I won't get too much into Tribe right now then, because if it's about to come up. Okay, so all right. But yeah, Into the Wu Tang. I know that was like a big deal in history, because those albums came out at the same time. And then, mind you, at the time, A Tribe Called Quest was already an established band or not band group. You know, because Low End Theory came out before Midnight Marauders, so they had already had. And mind you, that's like their third album, so they're already a successful group. And they're like, okay, trying to compete with Wu Tang Clan, and that's their debut album, but they are the Wu Tang Clan that we know today. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not familiar with a whole bunch of songs off of this album still, even though I remember like my ex that I was dating in the past. We like had picked up a few albums to listen to in the car, and he was like, "Why do you not know this album?" And I'm like, I don't know. So I remember, um, I don't know if I'm pretty sure I might have bought this album, or he was suggesting that I get the album. And then we listened to it a few times. And again, one of those situations where you got the album on, right? So you traveling, you driving, you really not focused on what song is what, or at least I wasn't at the time. But I knew I was like, "Ooh, this is a vibe." Okay, all right, I see what I was missing here. You know, but I don't know like song for song. I know "Protect Your Neck." I know that one. And I know Cream, but I do have to re-listen to this album again, um, because I'm not 100% familiar with all the records, but I know how iconic this was in hip hop history. So, like I said, this is one of those situations where I'm familiar with the story more than I am the music, but I know my history and, I know my hip hop. So, not too much on me. All right, next we have Beyonce. Beyonce. Only true beehives would get that reference. But I'm not a fan of nothing. Anyway, all right, so we have the Beyonce self-titled album. Now, I out of all her songs and all her albums, this personally wouldn't be a favorite of mine. Now, self-titled, I get why it is a favorite. It's like kind of like the whole Take Care thing, where my personal favorite is a different album, but I understand why this one is on the list, because just I feel like the moment of this album is bigger than the music for me personally. Because when it comes to Beyonce albums, I feel like I would even understand more if Dangerously in Love was on here over the self-titled album, just because of how big of a moment that was. It was her debut album. Crazy in Love is on there. That was like a hit song. We still listen to that song today. She had like five singles on there. She got 5 albums on that. I mean, five albums, 5 Grammys off that album. And it was a big moment in the debut of her career. So I would understand more if Dangerously in Love was on this list. But for the sake of self-titled being on here, let's run through the songs. Okay, so we have Pretty Hurts. That was her. And okay, let's talk about the moment of the album, right? This was a moment in time because she had, when did four came out a few years before this. Yeah, four came out a few years before this. She had just had the baby. Shout out to Blue. And and then so this was her first album after being a mother for the first time. And so, a lot of this album, the whole thing was like her like experimenting with her sexuality. And I remember like, well, I didn't remember at the time, but I remember seeing it. It just so happened to be the same day that she put out Cowboy Carter, which I haven't heard that album yet. So, I it's this whole another thing for another time. But I was making a joke because I was hanging out with a friend at the time, and then I was like referencing like Beyonce experimenting with her sexuality, or at least expressing it more than we've already seen. And it was in reference to this album coming out, because that was the whole like theme, and the thing of her not wanting to lose her sensuality as a woman after giving birth to a child. Because a lot of times, like your average woman, you're thinking about keeping the house clean, changing diapers, breastfeeding. Like you probably don't even feel like your best self. And and she's the Beyonce. Like her whole brand is being a beautiful woman, with this talent, but it's just how she dances and how she dresses and presents herself, and her sensuality is a big part of her brand. So this was a monumental thing for her as a woman, as well as how she released it. Like she ain't even tell nobody. She just said upload and see what it do. And then one night I was just like, I remember just like scrolling on iTunes. Why, I don't know. Or I don't know if I was scrolling on iTunes. Maybe I saw like an article or something like that. But I remember seeing on iTunes Beyonce new album. And I was like, oh, hold on. Okay. And then seeing like there was videos for all the albums too, for all the songs too. And I'm just like, oh my God, not videos for all the songs. And it's so crazy because, I think of this moment. I've mentioned this before and I'll mention it again. Um, and in full circle moment, my life just seems like just a like prolonged episode of Punked. But so I remember like being young, um, and dreaming of being a musician full time as a creative, right? And I guess when I was little girl, I dreamt of being in the world. Anyway, that's beside the point. But shout out to Bow Down, which I think Bow Down is better than Flawless. Hot take. But anyway, and and I remember like being like, oh, it'd be a really cool idea to see an album where there's music videos for all the songs. Because I remember being like a really big Michael Jackson fan, and me and my brother would watch Michael Jackson videos all the time. Like this is when YouTube was new, and so you could just like search a music video. So we would watch the Michael Jackson music videos and try to do the dances and whatnot. And I remember just thinking like, yo, it'd be really cool to do visuals for every song on a project. One day when I'm a superstar, I will do that. And then lo and behold, B-Day comes out. And I mean, well, there wasn't videos for every song on the album, but most of the songs on the album, even songs that weren't singles. So it was just like, damn you, Beyonce. But I was still a fan, at the time. I mean, not that I'm not a fan, it's just I'm not that I'm not a fan of Beyonce, I'm just not a fan of anybody because I'm more so focused on being my own artist, So don't, Beehive people, don't come for me. I very much appreciate her as an artist and as the creative superstar, fabulous queen that she is. So anyway, to self-titled, let's break down the songs. So, but yeah, I thought, and then this also happens to be another one of those projects where there's visuals for literally all the songs on this album. And I would say I like the concept of this album. I like the rollout and the intention of this album more than the music itself. So that's why like when I think of like my favorite Beyonce albums, I'll usually go to like either B-Day, 4, and even Renaissance. I think Renaissance is up there, you know. But and nothing against self-titled. I think there's great songs on here. Like I do have songs on this album that I really like, but Sonically, it's not my favorite Beyonce project, but I love the moment of this album. Just like what it meant at the time when it came out, the how she released it, the intention behind it, the visual aspect of it. This was when she was in her feminist bag, and yeah, I really liked the impact of this album. But anyway, Pretty Hurts, not my favorite song, but I see why it's on here. And I believe Sia wrote this song. It sounds like a very Sia song. So there's that. Then Haunted. Haunted is okay. I really like the ending of Haunted. Like there's like one moment of the song that I really like. Onto you, I'm onto you, onto you, I'm onto you, and I like the background with like there's really like blue notes. I don't know how to describe it, like jazzy notes in there, or like minory. It has like a minor sound. Kendrick, don't come for me. Anyway, but yeah, like, and mind you, personally, I feel like minor keys sonically are like more interesting, especially like seventh and ninth, chords and stuff like that. Because major is like upbeat and like, it's very like poppy and but I feel like jazz and R&B music sound the best when the key is in minor. But I digress. Anyway, that's just me being a music fan and actually kind of knowing a thing or two about music theory, but whatever. Um, Drunk in Love. This girl is crazy in love, dangerously in love, drunk in love. I'm like, damn, Jay-Z, what are you doing? But I'm like, there. It's kind of like Tony Braxton, how she has like "Unbreak My Heart." I know she has another song that's kind of like a heart reference, and she even said it herself. She's like, "Oh my gosh, not another heart song!" Like, because I mean, "Unbreak My Heart" is like her big song. But anyway, I don't think anybody really paid attention or even cares about that. But yeah, "Drunken Love" came out, huge song. I mean, it's a dope song. It's a vibe when it's on, but it's not a song that I go to all the time. Um, but okay, so Blow, produced by Pharrell, dope track. No Angel, No Angel is cool. Partition, Partition is all right to me. Um, because I'm thinking like back in the day, like it would come on the radio. Like I remember when I would get like picked up to go to the bus in school, and then it would be on the radio. And I think this was around the time, not too long after that whole elevator situation happened. We're not gonna get into that, but I remember like the radio station, like the person who hosted the radio show when we were like on the bus going to school, were like they broke that story, and I was like, "Ooh, what is going on?" And I just remember that moment. But but yeah, Jealous. I actually really like Jealous as a song. Sonically, keeping your promise, I'm keeping mine. Oh, I'm jealous. And I feel like this song was kind of like the first song that hinted towards any type of like struggle or situation that might have been going on in her marriage with Jay-Z. And Beyonce's a private girl. She don't really like to tell her business unless it's in the music, which is smart. I understand that. I understand wanting to keep your life private and not having everybody in your business. I get that. I think we all should have that. Especially when you're a superstar, when so much of your career and your life is in the public eye. Hold on. I'm like, whew, my lip gloss will not stop me from being great. Anyway, so I get that, but I felt like when this song came out, I was like, I don't know, this sounds a little too close to home a little bit. But I don't mind my business and enjoy the music. But yeah, I do like Jealous. I like, and then Rocket. Okay, Rocket's my favorite song off this album. And my opinion that I've said so often about this song. I'm like, this song gives me such like D'Angelo vibes with like all the harmonies and vocal stackings. and it sounds so much like Untitled, How Does It Feel by D'Angelo, which album happens to be on this list. And I think she might have said that was the inspiration behind this record. And I think Timberland and Justin Timberlake helped write this song, because I remember seeing a clip of them in the studio when she was working on this. And yeah, so shout out to them. And yeah, I just feel like vocally, like the vocals and just like the transitions, and what, it's like a 6 minute song, but it's amazing. Like the production is dope, the vocals are amazing, it's like super sexy, and like just as a song, it's a really good song. So yeah, and then I've seen people do like mashups of or mixes with Rocket and and D'Angelo's Untitled, and they blend very well together. So I know I be knowing what I'm talking about when it comes to this music thing, you know. So, but that was my first initial reaction when I heard that song. I was like, this sounds like that D'Angelo song, but in a dope way. And then the mix came about, and people fuck with it because I know what I'll be talking about. Anyway, so mine featuring Drake. I also really like this song too. I wish this was a bigger song. I just wanna say you're mine, you're mine. I just wanna say you're mine, we're mine. Fuck with you, and you're mine, you're mine. All I'm really asking for is you. Yeah. But anyway, and then also the beginning of this song. I've been watching for the signs. Take a trip to clear my mind. Oh, now even more lost. Oh mine, oh mine. But okay, having conversations about breakups and separations. I'm not feeling like myself since the baby. Are we gonna either make it all? I'm surprised I even know these words. But okay, that part, I was like, she just had the baby. So what we talking about? What conversation about breakups? I'm like, what's going on, Beyonce? What you trying to tell us without really telling us? Because you be hinting at stuff, but you don't really be saying something. You know what I mean? But that was also one of those songs. I feel like when this album came out, I was like, something might be going on with her and Jay Z. But they've been together since you know the dinosaurs. So I don't think they breaking up. And then Lemonade comes out after this, but that's a whole nother conversation. Actually, it is a whole nother conversation for the next live stream because that album is on this list. But anyway, okay, EXO, not my favorite song because it's like really poppy. It's kind of sounding, but I get it. And honestly, I have more of appreciation for that song, especially when she did the Kobe tribute because it was one of his favorite songs, and I thought she did a really good job putting this together with Halo. So, I mean, I have an appreciation for this song, but if we're just purely talking about the music, I'm not crazy about this record. As you can see, like I like some of the songs. I'm not crazy about this album. Like a lot of these songs I could skip respectfully. Like for me, the album really starts with Jealous and Jealous, Rocket, and Mine. Like those are I go to those three songs and then I'm cool. But and then the thing with Flawless, like I said before, personally, personally, don't come for me, Beehive folks. Don't do it, okay? Because don't forget, I did get a degree in Beyonceology for years, so don't do that. And I have the coin spent on merchandise and CDs to prove it. But anyway, so Flawless, I can appreciate what this song is supposed to give and what it's supposed to do because it's the wake up flawless, the empowering the women to be like, I woke up like this, I woke up like this. I get it, but I don't care for the song. And really, the part of the song that I like is the bow down part, but I like bow down the song better than flawless because I just feel like it just goes hard. The beat is dope, and I guess what was cool about this song was like this was the moment where she can like address that whole elevator situation. Oh wait, and the remix, or no, or was that yeah, no, yeah, the remix with Nicki Minaj. Cause sometimes shit go down when there's $1 billion on the elevator. Ah, you know. Okay, because I don't know if that's on this song. Because I'm like, I feel like that happened after this album came out. But whatever. But I get, I appreciate what the song gives, and I like to watch it live. Like I like to see the performance of these songs. That's the thing for me. Okay, I appreciate like seeing these songs performed live, like with the choreography and the fashion and the outfits and the backdrops and the screens and the smoke and the lights and all of that, because Beyonce knows how to put a performance together. Okay, when it comes to performing, that is that girl's thing. Okay, and her being such an immaculate performer can make me appreciate the music more, because I've always said respectfully that I feel like Beyonce's a stronger performer than I feel like. Okay, how do I say this without y'all trying to cancel me, as if I wasn't already. But I appreciate her more as a performer than I appreciate her discography. But and because she's a great performer, it makes me appreciate the songs that I normally don't like care to listen to by itself more. Like if I'm watching a Beyonce performance, I'm not going to skip when she performed Flawless. Like I'm going to sit up there and try to act like I'm doing the choreography with her. You know what I mean? But I don't go to listen to this song is what I'm saying. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Like respectfully. 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 Superpower featuring Frank Ocean. I don't care for this song. Um it's alright. It's not all that bad. I'll have moments where I'll listen to it and I'll like the vocals and what's happening sonically, but it's not my favorite song. Heaven is cool. Um I mean it's a beautiful song. It's I've covered this song before, um, as a like a tribute. Um but yeah, it's not my favorite song, but it's a good one though. And Blue is really adorable. I think Blue is really cool as a song. Not my favorite, but I'm sorry, y'all. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. And like I said, it's not a bad album. It's just like the songs are okay to me. And like I said, my three favorite are Jealous, Rocket, and Mine. I think those are bops solidified. But when she performs these songs live, it's dope. Like I love it and I think it's great. And I like the visual aspect of it. And like I said, for me, when it comes to the self-titled album, it's more the movement than it is the album. But because like at one point I was like a huge Beyonce stan, she could do no wrong in my eyes, at one point in my life. I would listen to the album because I'm gonna support regardless, but it's never been my favorite album. Like I said, it's four for me. Four, you could play that album start to finish. The only songs that I would kind of skip are still really good songs. Like Best Thing I Never Had. I'm not crazy about that song. I know that was like a single and everybody loved that song. That song played in the mall. Not my favorite song. But in the time, Love on Top, um, Start Over. I mean, like that album has so many good songs on there. Countdown, Party, like that album had bops that like undeniable bops that I'm like, oh, I'm listening to this whole thing, and I don't know. That was just the album for me. But okay, since we're looking at the deluxe version, 7-Eleven, I'm not gonna lie, I fucked with 7-Eleven. That was my shit. I fucked with that song heavy. Even though there's not a lot going on in that song, like lyrically, it's just a fun song. And even the video was like that too. It was just like her and her dancers just kind of going off in her like penthouse hotel, or whatever the situation was. And it was cute. It was fun. Flawless remix with Nicki Minaj, a moment, a bop. I love to see her and Nicki collaborate with Flawless Remix and Feeling Myself. Like when they got together around this time and they were just like collaborating and performing together, it was such a moment. And I love that for Nicki to be in that space in her career where she performed with and collaborated with Beyonce multiple times. And then when the Feeling Myself video came out, it was a moment. It was a moment. I didn't know that there was a Drunken Love remix. Oh, actually, I did know that. I did know that with Kanye, but I never really cared to listen. No shade to Kanye. Shout out to Kanye, but not my favorite. Um, Ring Off. I did like that song. I did like that song. But yeah, I felt like that could have there could have been a video for that. And you know what isn't on here? Grown Woman. And that's a song that I fuck with. I do like Grown Woman. I think Grown Woman definitely, like, especially like the video and the choreography, like yes, like oh yeah. I and why is it not on here? Wasn't it like there was a reason for it? I think it was like exclusively on title maybe. I'm not sure. And then you got the Blow remix with Pharrell. Okay, Standing on the Sun. I think the visual for that was really cool because that's when she did the partnership with H&M and had the collection. And I really wanted a piece from that collection, but missed out because your girl was working retail and not getting paid enough. But it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, like I said, it's not my favorite project from Beyonce, but there are some bops on here. I love when she went on tour and performed it. The visuals are really cool. And mind you, I think the okay, I'll end on a positive note. You know, I'll change it so I'll make it positive. Michael Jackson voice. But no, actually this is like me being honest though. I think what makes this album really dope is how it was put together, right? Because she had just had a kid, she was recording the music, and she was shooting the visuals for this project while on her Miss Carter tour. So that was after, I believe, four. Because I don't know if she went on tour for the four album, because literally we saw her perform at the VMAs Love on Top while she was pregnant. So she was doing the rollout for that album. And so I don't think we got a tour per se for that album. And that was supposed to be the Miss Carter tour, which happened earlier that year, I believe, either like 2012 to 2013, right? So she's on tour doing these songs for an album that came out like only a few years ago, in 2011, because that's when 4 came out. Then, as she's touring, mind you, while you're on tour doing choreography with your band, and you already have a new album that you recorded, you already have songs that's done, and she was shooting the visuals for this album, for the self-titled album, while she was touring. So during the day you're scouting locations, you're getting outfits, you're getting your crew to film these visuals, but then you also have a performance later on that night, or maybe during some of the days, maybe the off days when they weren't performing, but they were shooting for the video. But to be shooting not only just one video, or like maybe like two or three videos just for the singles, because it's Beyonce, she's shooting visuals for the whole album. And shooting visuals for one song is a lot, because you got to have different outfits, you have the different spots in the location, you got to get the headshot, the portfolio shot, or profile, and then the full body choreography. So you got to learn new choreography for the new songs, get all the outfits, get the location, shoot the visuals, and say there might be multiple locations for one video, right? So like, say if it's one video and you got like three different outfits, so you're in three different types of scenes in one video, and then you're doing this for a whole album while on tour. Crazy. Like, girl, why? So like I said, like, I really appreciate the work and the moments of this album more than the music itself. But just the work ethic, the creativity, the planning, the fact that she was on tour, and mind you, had a baby, had a whole child, mind you. So you a mother, you touring, you doing these performances, you filming the videos, you're learning new choreography on top of already having to perform choreography that you've learned for the show. So you've had your rehearsals, planning a tour, and Beyonce tours aren't just like a simple performance. It's like a whole well thought out thing. There's outfits, there's costumes, there's dance breaks, all of that. So you already have the concert, and then we're learning new choreography for the videos of these new songs, filming the videos, and then planning the rollout for that. Just insane. Just insane. And I mean, that's why she's the queen, and it's undeniable. So, I ending on a positive note. All right. I spent a lot of time on Beyonce. Shout out to Beyonce. Because, I mean, she's the queen. She's the queen. You know? But I'm not one of these delusional fans that's going to act like she can do no wrong. Um, and I'm not going to lie and act like I love a song that I don't. I will be honest in that way. But I'm not going to deny her genius and her work ethic and just the things that brought her to the top of the game, because you know she worked to be there. So shout out to Beyonce. All right, The Clash. I know the band, don't know the album, don't know the song, so we're gonna skip it respectfully. Public Enemy. Oh, excuse me. um Public Enemy. I know some of the songs, but I'm not familiar with this album. I'm not gonna act like I am. Okay, it takes a nation of millions to hold us back. Okay, see if I know anything on here. Respectfully, I probably don't. Mm-mm. No. We're gonna skip this one respectfully, because I didn't really, even though I listened to music from before my generation, I'm not really a fan of, like, all right, let's just say the 90s are is the hip hop that I would prefer, like the golden era. I'm not too crazy about like hip hop from the 80s. I know the history of it and the significance and the role that it played in building hip hop culture, but I'm not crazy about some of the music from that time. No shade, all respect. They're pioneers in the culture and in that genre. So shout out to Public Enemy. Um, all right, Radiohead. I am familiar with Radiohead. I know some songs, but I don't know all of them. I know Tom York is really dope, but that's all I know. Okay, and what is this? A Kid? All right, what is that? Like a debut album or something like that? I don't even see this on here. Oh, they just have a different cover. That's why. Yeah, no, I don't know this album. I mean, I know Creep by them, but that's about it. Um, so shout out to Radiohead. Um, okay, B Notorious B.I.G. Ready to Die, which is a wild album title. Um, and power of the tongue, like be intentional about what you name your albums. And I'm just like, you know, but that's beside the point. All right, let's talk about. I already know there's some bangers on here. Okay, so we got the intro, things unchanged. Give me the loop. Um, Machine Gun Funk, Warning, Warnings About, Ready to Die, One More Chance. That's my shit. Um, Not fuck me. Uh, the what? Juicy, classic. Everyday Struggle, Me and My Bitch, Big Papa. Huge record. Wow, this has 1 billion streams. That's crazy. Respect, friend of mine. Unbelievable. Suicidal Thoughts. Who Shot You? Just Playing. Okay, yeah. So I know a few songs off this album. I haven't listened to the whole thing, and like I mentioned before, when talking about Eminem and also 50 Cent too, talking about the comparison between Tupac and Biggie that my friend had put me on to, when she was like, like he just be talking about shooting people and this and that, and I'm like, I understood where she was coming from. So I'm more intentional about what I listen to. So I haven't listened to a lot of Biggie as of recently, but I I am a fan of hip hop. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to act like I'm not. So I'm like scrunched up in this view here. Um, so um, let me just move some of this shit out the way. So give me the loot, give me the loot, give me the loot. About warning. Now that's my shit. I'm not gonna lie. I know some bars off of that. Hold on. How does it go? In the beginning, I know a little bit of it. A little bit. Let's turn it down some because I'm not trying to get and shit. Paging me at 5:46 in the morning, crack a dawning. Now I'm yawning. Wipe the cold out my eye. See who this paging me and why. All right, all right. That's all. That's all y'all getting because I gotta keep my shit on here. One more chance, such a Bob. I'm already like listening to it in my mind. Like that's definitely a song for the ladies. Um, Juicy. Ooh, hold on. Let's have a moment for Juicy. I gotta play it on low because I'm trying to keep my shit right. Yeah, it's all good, baby, baby. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, salt and pepper and heavy tea up in the limousine, hanging pictures on the wall. All right, right, right. Molly Mall. I let my tape rock to my tape pop. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, Big Papa. I love it when you call me Big Papa. I'm surprised that has more listens than Juicy. That's surprising to me. But hey, I mean, it's a classic record. Yeah, no, dope album. I see why it's on here. And yeah, shout out to Big. You know, New York, Brooklyn legend. Um, yeah, amazing. Alanis Morissette. I'm not gonna act like I listen to her because I don't. I know like one song of hers. No shade, no shade, no shade. You ought to know. And the reason why I know that song is because Beyonce covered it, which is a shame. I should know who she is because I'm more versed in different genres of music enough to have known. But I didn't grow up listening to her. Oh, okay, she does ironic. Okay, all right, hold on. All right, I might know a little something on here. Jagged Little Pill. Okay, so you ought to know. Perfect hand in my pocket. I'm like, again. Okay, so I only know two songs, the singles off of this album. The ironic song. And you know what's interesting about that? Every time I think about that song, I think about when I was in English class in high school. My teacher, Miss Modafferi, shout out to her. She's a writer. She's an author, and she's written some books. So if y'all want to look her up, Danielle Modafferi, she has a book out. I'm not sure what it's called, but if you just happen to see this and want to support her, go ahead because she's always been a dope teacher to me. So and I like to throw support to those who've always been positive in my life. But even though I wasn't the best student in her class, I'm not gonna lie. But I wasn't a bad student though. Like I was definitely a good student. I just wouldn't read all the books. Sorry. Um but but she also did our acapella group. And so she like, we did different music and stuff like that. And she would she 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 spearheaded the group essentially. And she was always one of my favorite teachers. So shout out to Miss Modafferi. I remember in one of her classes we were breaking down irony because it's an English class, right? And so she used that song as an example, and we went through and detailed which was an actual example of irony and what isn't. And some of it was just like situations that just like are bad luck rather than it actually being irony. So and I always think about that. I forget the exact examples, but it makes me think to be more intentional, especially me as a creative, as a writer. And I'm like, okay, if I'm making certain metaphors, it has to make sense. You know what I mean? Like certain things I'll probably like I'll say certain things with the intention of manifesting. So it's like, like, oh, I'm $1 million winner, and it's like, girl, where's the millions at? I'm like, it ain't here yet, but it's on the way because I'm manifesting it every day. Ooh, bars. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Anyway, so, but when it comes to like writing, and if I'm doing something where I'm being more intentional about like the what do you call it? Like metaphors and like double entendres and stuff like that, or if I'm trying to be clever with the writing, I try to be intentional about if it's ironic or not, and if I'm actually using correct similes, or if it's if it's just grammatically correct. So here we are. um and that always, I think of that because of that class with her breaking down ironic. So shout out to Alana Morissette. She on the list. um she made it. I'm not familiar with her music like that aside from those few songs, but that's a story that I have for y'all. um Billie Eilish. All right, so I'm not familiar with this album, and but I know like this was like the height of her like um coming up. So we got, okay, Bad Guy, I know that song. Zanny, You Should See Me in a Crown. Facts. um All the Good Girls Go to Hell. Wish You Were Gay, When the Party's Over at 8, My Strange Addiction, Bury a Friend, I Love Milo, Listen Before I Go, I Love You, Goodbye. I don't know none of these songs. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to this woman. I don't know none of these songs except for Bad Guy. Because, like I said, I only know some of the singles. I really like that song, Everything I Wanted. I forget how that song goes, but which is not at the top right now because she did just put out a new album. And Everything I Wanted, whichever album that one's on. Is that on the next one? I don't think it is. Or is that not one album? Billy Bossa Nova. Maybe I need to listen to some of these records. I'm not gonna lie, I don't listen to her, but I do like her voice, and I think she's really talented, and she's pretty dope. Shout out to her and Phineas. And what was I made for? Dope song. It reminds me of Salt, and I'm sure anybody who watches the Truman Show will get that reference. Um, but yeah, shout out to Billie Eilish being on the list. She dope, and I like her as an artist, and she's got a great voice. Huh? Interesting. Okay, so I'm looking at her profile on. Okay, actually, no, that's not right. I was like, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, that's a completely different thing. I was looking up Billie Eilish, and then certain artists popped up, and I was like, and I thought it was the fans also listen to section, and it was like SZA, Billie Holiday, Frank Ocean. I was like, huh? But I mean, I can understand maybe like SZA and Frank, but I wouldn't think that those would be the first options to pop up. And so that's because it was in my search, not on her actual page. And on her actual page is like Olivia Rodrigo, Doja Cat, Melanie Martinez, and Ariana Grande, which actually makes more sense. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. Shout out to Billie Eilish. All right, an album that I know because I'm such a young old head. A Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory. Oh well, hold on. Let's see what number that we're on right now. Okay, yeah. Because what are we going down to? Say 25, right? All right. Yeah. So we're all right. We're on 29. So we're almost done. We're Oh my god, I'm over 2 hours. Oh my goodness. Okay, you know what it is because I spent so much damn time on Beyonce. But like I can't hide my Beyonceology degree. Okay, Like I got the degree. Okay, I've put in a lot of years and time and money into being a fan, and I just can't help it, even if it is an album that isn't my favorite. Um, but whatever. Here we are. So, and we're stopping at 25. So, Low in Theory by A Tribe Called Quest, one of my favorite hip hop albums. For one, they're one of my favorite groups of all time, and this is one of my favorite Tribe albums of all time. So, Low in Theory. Let's get into it. Because I mentioned Midnight Marauder when I was talking about Wu Tang Clan, because that came out the same day. But now we're talking about Low in Theory because that came out before Midnight Marauder. And now I can really get into the A Tribe Called Quest bag. Excursions. So Excursions, like, hold on, let me just get in a moment. Yes, the bass line. Hold on, I might have to rap the beginning just because that's all I know. But back in the days when I was a teenager, before I had status and before I had a pager, you could find the abstract listening to hip hop. My dad used to say it reminded him of bebop. I said, "Well, Daddy, don't you know that things go in cycles? Wait, that Bobby Brown is just amping like Michael." I'm off. Quest is for the booking. Okay, I got off the timing a little bit because I'm not trying to play it too loud. But okay. Anyway, I'm not a fan of nothing, but Tribe Called Quest, right? Excursions. That's how we're starting the album. Groovy ass bass lines, and I remember watching the documentary that they did. I forget what it's called, but it's okay. It came out years ago. And they were basically saying, or at least Q-Tip was saying, because he does a lot of the production, he was saying going into this album, the intention was that he talked about the low end theory. Sonically, I think there's more reasoning behind it, but sonically, he wanted this to be an album where like it was heavy bass and like and drums. So when people listen to this album in their cars and you feel the bass like as they're driving by, and and he sonically wanted it to feel like that throughout the whole album, and it very much gives that. So we got Excursions, we got Bugging Out. Yo, microphone check 1 2. What is this? Okay. Rap promoter Butter. Butter is like one of my favorite songs, even though there's like a slight lyrical mention of abuse, but we like slide by that line. But I think the production of this song is amazing. Not no parquet, not no margarine, strictly butter. Maybe some butter has moved in the fridge or something. I don't know. But people just like to interject themselves and what was already going to be a part of the list. But anyway, that's beside the point. Verses from the abstract, show business, vibes and stuff, infamous date rape, check the rhyme, everything is fair, jazz we've got. That's one of my favorites. Sky Pager, what scenario? Yeah, dope project, dope record all the way through. Just especially like check the rhyme. But now that I'm thinking about this, now that I'm really looking at this album, I do really like a lot of the songs on here. So like Excursions, Bugging Out, Butter, um, Check the Rhyme, Jazz. Oh yeah, Scenario. What's the scenario? Okay, almost forgot that. That was like an iconic moment by itself. Like just the story of that song and Busta Rhymes and his verse on there. Honestly, I feel like no shade. I feel like Busta had the best verse. Purely. And just like his story behind it, because he was like, okay, how am I going to make my presence known with his like 20 niggas on this song rapping? Right. And um it's just iconic. Anyway, like a dungeon dragon, which that's on here too. Is it this or is it what's the scenario? Hold on, I'm like, am I referencing the right song? I think I am. Oh my god. Yeah, okay, I made the right reference. I was like, I gotta make sure I'm correct on here. Which, shout out to Nikki referencing this. But when Nikki says it, run like a dungeon dragon, she's referencing Busta Rhymes verse on Scenario. That's on Low End Theory by a Tribe Called Quest that came out in 1991, which is years before I was even born. To my knowledge, I don't know. I could have came from a different planet. I really don't even know. But I'm just saying, hip hop history, because I don't know what I'm be talking about when I be giving my think pieces about this music thing. I do this because I know. Okay, Pink Floyd is on here. Now, let me be clear. I don't listen to Pink Floyd. Not that I have anything against them. It's just I just haven't had a chance to like really get into them. But I wondered the other day. I was like, is Pink Floyd on this list? Because I feel like Pink Floyd is one of those bands that everybody says is their favorite and they're the best band in the world, and they should be on everybody's top anything list. And so I was like, I don't know if I remember seeing Pink Floyd. And so they're on here. And but because like I said, Dark Side of the Moon, I've seen so many t-shirts of this album. I've seen so many people rock this as a t-shirt. I've seen so many references, but I haven't listened to the album yet. So I will one of these days. We'll get to there. Shout out to Pink Floyd. They made the list. I had a feeling like they would be on this list. Same thing with Led Zeppelin. No shade to them. I don't know this album. I only know like none of their music. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know the band. I know the band. I know who they are. I'm just not familiar with their discography. So if y'all know any Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin songs, let me know and I'll check it out. Some good ones. Okay, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. Now that's an album. And that's a discography that I am familiar with because this is all right. I'm just gonna say this leans heavily on the R&B and hip hop. So that's most of the ones that I'm really going in on are R&B and hip hop albums. And like every now and then a little bit of alternative. Just a little bit of rock and alternative because I'm familiar with the names, I know the bands, I know some of the artists. I just haven't listened to those albums. But okay, anyway, Kanye West. Okay. Mm, I can see I actually I think I might agree with this being on the list because I mean he has so many great albums. Like you, for me personally, a personal favorite Kanye album of mine for a long time has been Late Registration because that's one of the few albums. Well, a lot of his albums I like a majority of the music. What am I saying? Especially like Graduation. Honestly, College Dropout wasn't my favorite. There's some songs on there that I think are great, and I think it's a dope debut, but it's not my favorite Kanye album. Um, for a long time, my favorite would be Late Registration and probably Graduation. Yeah, I would say Late Registration, Graduation, and even my Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I will say this is an amazing album, without a doubt. It's amazing. The production, the and just everything that led up to it, right? So this album came out after that infamous moment of him jumping up on the stage and stealing Taylor Swift's moment, and Beyonce can't even enjoy her award. She got to be the classy lady that she is and be like, all right, let me try to make this right because Kanye done threw me into the shenanigans. Like Beyonce had the best video of all time. She did have the best video, but you ain't have to ruin that girl moment like that. But in hindsight, even though he was totally an asshole about how he did it, was he wrong? No shade. But come on. Taylor knew that. Taylor knew, like, yeah, Beyonce ate that shit. She did. She did. But she was young, and it was her first award or something like that. And, it helped elevate her career. So, I mean, hey, whatever. But, people forget about the moment where Beyonce wins her award later on that night and was like, well, you know what? I remember being young and new in the industry and having my first award. So, let me, Taylor, come on out and have your moment, girl. because she know how to play the game. She know how to play the game, and she does it right, especially at those award shows. And even in that moment where she was presented with an award and Mindless Behavior did that little shady joke about Lauren Hill, and Beyonce very classily was like, I want to just, as I'm accepting this R&B award, I want to acknowledge the R&B pioneers like Miss Lauren Hill, you know. And I was like, ooh, classy. I like that. Okay, okay, that was smooth. That was smooth. That was smooth. That's how you do it. Okay, that's how you do it. And that's really what I be doing on here. I just be trying to give people their flowers, but they never want to acknowledge that. They don't ever want to talk about that. But anyway, it's beside the point. And you know what? Miss Lauren Hill is number one on this list. So that's beside the point, though. We're not at number one yet. We are at 26. And we're at Kanye. So, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Amazing album. Amazing production. So, Kanye goes through this experience of being shitted on because he's used to saying the most outlandish things in public forums and no one really checking him. I mean, i.e. that moment where he infamously says that George Bush don't care about black people, and it went viral. I remember that moment, like, even though I was literally like a kid when that happened, but I remember that moment very well, and just like the cultural impact that it had. And it was like, can you really be mad at him? Because like we saw what happened with Katrina in New Orleans, and and FEMA's the help or lack thereof, right? And so the socially conscious Kanye, that's what we had at that time. And he thought he was kind of like having that moment a little bit with Taylor, and I get where he was coming from, but it didn't land right. It didn't. But like as time goes by, many people are like, "Where's Kanye when you need him to jump up on this stage?" But in that moment, he was heavily getting shitted on. Like he even got shitted on by the president. Like George Bush, I mean not George Bush, not that president. Oh, Barack Obama literally called him a jackass on TV. On TV. And told him that he was a jackass as he was the sitting president. So that had to be crazy, right? And then Kanye's like, all right, y'all want to shit on me? Y'all trying to come for me? Bet. And drops a classic album. Truly amazing, start to finish. There is not a flaw on this record. I mean, there might be some songs that I might skip from time to time, but I mean, let's get into the track list, right? And now I know I'm not showing the track list on here, but I'm looking at the track list. If you're not, look, you can find it. So first song, Dark Fantasy, which I don't know why they're not talking about the featured artist on here, but there's Nicki Minaj on there, some other folks. But yeah, she kind of was like narrating through the album a little bit. Well, I think maybe on that one song. But you got Dark Fantasy, gorgeous. Not my favorite song, but shout out to Kid Cudi and Raycon being on there. Um, um, Power, amazing, classic record, anthem, just like oh, hey, oh, like when that comes on, you just I'm living in that 21st century, doing something mean to it, doing better than anybody you ever seen through it. I felt that. I felt that. I said, me too, Kanye. Me too. They couldn't do what I'm doing. They couldn't. They couldn't stand a day. They couldn't do it. Yes. No one man should have all this power. I felt it. I felt that. Amazing. And it was on like almost every commercial at that time. It was on commercials, movie, movie trailers. Such a moment. All of the lights. My personal favorite. Like, okay, so the interlude. I don't think people talk about the interlude enough, right? The interlude, you have strings. You have a string section playing the melody of, all of these. And I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know if it's like a cello that's really like holding the melody, but it's just beautiful, right? So we got strings And then we get into the production. All of the lights. Okay, there's like 20 people on this song. We got Rihanna and her beautiful voice singing the hook. You got Kanye rapping. Then you have Fergie is on here. The Elton John is on here. I'm pretty sure Alicia Keys was on here. Drake was singing on here at some point. Kid Cudi is on there. Who wasn't on the song? I'm pretty sure The Dream is on there too. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. And just literally how he even thought to be like, all right, Fergie, Kid Cudi, Elton John, Rihanna, all on the same song. And it sounds amazing. I mean, look, just masterful. Just masterful. And the production, like the man. Okay, and then I'll get into the visual aspect about this album too, just a little bit. And just like the whole story and the vibe and like just the moment. After I'll go through all the songs first, but then we got Monster. There's just so many iconic moments in this one album. You know, like just power, the rollout, the energy of the album, just like after like the hit that he took like in his brand and publicly, and then to come out with this. Okay, and so we got Monster, right? Now let's get into Monster. I'm not a fan of nothing, but I am a fan a little bit. Everybody be shitting on Jay-Z's verse on this record, and I don't think it's as whack as people think it is. I think people shit on his verse because of how dope Nicki's verse is, and because Nicki really out rapped everybody on that record. And thank you, Kanye, for putting your ego to the side for 5 seconds. More like, actually, how many seconds did she have? Like 30 seconds? For 30 seconds. Thank you for putting your ego aside for 30 seconds and letting Nicki have her moments as a newcomer in the game. Because she was still new in the game. Like, she's built up a name enough, but she was still the rookie amongst Kanye West, Jay-Z, and Rick Ross. And out-rapped all these men. As she should. And not just because she's a woman, but because she's a skilled writer. But thank you, Kanye, for deflating your ego for 30 seconds and letting Nicki out rap everybody. But, and because she had an amazing verse on here, her verse was amazing, for sure. I don't think Rick Ross and Jay-Z and Kanye's verses were all that bad. Like, they were still solid verses, you know? Especially, like, Kanye, what's the line? Damn, I'm trying to get in the song. Um, Hold on. First of all, Rick Ross, he had 3 lines on this song. He didn't even have 4 whole bars. He had a word on this song, but he on there. Shout out my man Rick Ross. He in there. He in there. Just stop it. Everybody knows I'm a monster. I'm gonna need to see hands in the gossip. Nigga, I got it. Everybody knows I'm a motherfucking monster. I'm gonna need to see it. Okay. Huh? Now, huh? And I'm about to take it to another level. That pain. Yeah, I had the X sing. Remember X sing? Number 2 now. Call it Malibu, yeah. With a new style. Whatever I wanted to. It's cool. Cause you can never get on top of this. So mommy best advice is just to get on top of this. Have you ever had sex with a pharaoh? I put the pussy in the sarcophagus. Now she claiming that I bruised her esophagus. Come on. Let's not act like he wasn't spitting on here. My presence is a present. Kiss my ass. Is what he said. That's what he said on the. All right, I'm not gonna get into Nicki's rap because I'm really not trying to. Uh, you know, I don't want to rap too long, but I'm just saying, like, come on, don't act like these people. Now I get her raps was all the way up here and they're like down here, but like, okay, let's not act like here is down here. You know what I mean? Like I feel like people be like going in on them and it's like, ah, Jay-Z's verse was whack and this and that. And it's like, okay, it wasn't whack. It wasn't his best verse, which is true. It wasn't his best. But it wasn't like the wackest thing ever. And Nicki totally like she did what she was supposed to do. And that's why I say there should be a top four and Nicki is up there with them. Just saying. All right, but anyway, let's go along. So appalled. I reference this all the time in my life. I'm so appalled. All of y'all could suck my balls through my drawers, which happens to be a Jay-Z line. Um, I'm not a fan of nothing, but so appalled. Yeah. Um, Pusha T is on there. And there's another line where is it so appalled or it's a different song. It's a different song where they um did a word play on like months. So some choosing in April, some so she chose the March or something like that. Dope wordplay. I fucked up the line, but fly. Um, Devil in a New Dress, Runaway, a vibe. Which that performance at the VMAs was really dope. After that whole thing, which set this whole movement off, right? Hell of a Life. Blame Game. Lost in the World. Like, ooh, the production on that track. Okay. Who was surviving America? Man, such a good song. Okay, wait, did I skip Blame Game? Okay, Blame Game. Let's talk about that for a second. First of all, I mentioned this song when I was talking about like vocal production, and a really good example because something that I like to do is play with the sounds, like say if there's a certain vocal part and have one going in one speaker versus another, or if you're listening in headphones, like how certain parts you'll hear something in one headphone and it's not in the other. And a really good example of how that's mixed and mastered really well is on Blame Game. And he has like this distorted like vocal filter as well as him like jumping back and forth between speakers, and the shit is really fly. And then also like having Chris Rock on here, like just crazy. It's crazy, it's dope. And then yeah, just such an amazing album. Man, what a time. What a fucking time. 2010. Whew, a moment. A moment, a moment, a moment. Yeah, and yeah, the production on this album is just stellar. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's an amazing album. Wow. What a way to end this list. I know technically I could go down to 25, but I'm already gonna say that I'm probably because what is it? Okay, what the hell. Um, I'm already gonna say "Kind of Blue" by Miles Davis. Okay, actually, hold on. I might know some songs on there. I might know some songs. Let me see. Let me see. Not. I mean, well, I don't know. We'll see. Oh wait, actually, okay. I think I do know this album. Yes, I really like this project. Okay. Okay, actually, I'm not sure. Kind of Blue. Okay, actually, I'm not sure. Is it this one? It might be this one. It might be this one because I think he has a John Coltrane is on here too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's on a majority of these songs. Yeah, I do really like. I remember listening to this project all the way through, and I do really like it. I can't tell you a preference of what song, but I know I do really love Blue and Green. I remember working on a visual and like using it as a backdrop because I think it was like trending on social media. But Blue and Green is a really dope um, track. And then not only that, um, but yeah, just I think this whole project because I can't tell you specifically like what song and why, because it is one of those things where I put the album on. I was just kind of doing something. I was like, "Ooh, I really like this. I like all these songs," um, but just like it's such a vibe. Like you know, I'm still getting more into jazz, but I know I really love like Ella Fitzgerald and some Miles Davis and John Coltrane. I just recently started like kind of listening to Duke Ellington and I'm trying to get more in my jazz bag, but at the same time, and I know there's different versions of jazz. Like you just saying jazz, you have to be specific because then there's like Sarah Vaughan, and then there's also like Frank Sinatra and like the Rat Pack type of vibes, and Bing Crosby. um there's so many different ways that you can go when it comes to jazz, but I do really enjoy Miles Davis and in this project in particular. So I'm really glad that this is on the list. And John Coltrane technically is on here twice. So shout out to him. He made the list double time. Um and yeah, it's really cool. And when it comes to jazz, like it's very moody for me. So like in a perfect scenario, I really like to I remember one time when watching I think I was watching the Billie Holiday movie that Audra Day starred in, where she was acting as Billie Holiday, and I was just kind of like in my room painting, or I was listening. I have a Billie Holiday record, and I was listening to the record, and I was painting, and it was such a vibe. It was such a vibe because I'm not a painter in any way, but it's a nice. I like to paint sometimes because it's like just relaxing and really cool, way to express yourself. And because I'm not the best at it, I don't have really like high expectations when it comes to it. I just enjoy the moment and enjoy the vibe. And so I just kind of like paint for expression. And I think jazz is one of those like genres that like just feel super artsy in that way. And then also like I really love to listen to jazz like in the fall. Well, depending, like certain types of jazz. Like if it's more like relaxed and not somber sounding, but in a way, I think it's just really cool to hear. And when the seasons are changing, if you're from wherever you are on the planet, seasons change where I am currently, and yeah, it's just a vibe, and especially hip hop that samples jazz music, which is why I like A Tribe Called Quest so much. I can really appreciate those type of um, artists and that music and just the vibe that it gives and the seasons, and just how music just kind of puts you in the mood, especially during certain times of years, like music that you listen to for the summer versus music that you listen to for the fall, and then even like holiday season when you listen to holiday music. Like it's really dope how music really transcends and expresses a season or a time or a moment, and just that expression is so dope, and that's why I love music so much. But yeah. All right, so that's the end of this list. um so far, well, not the end of the list, but end of the what we're doing for this live stream so far. And then we'll get back on here and then finish the rest of the list. And yeah, so I hope y'all enjoyed this live stream. It's your girl Narise. um Thanks for the folks that popped on here. I'm sure you all enjoyed here. I'm sure there's folks who enjoyed watching for the Truman Show shenanigans of, oh, what's Nerisse gonna say? Is she gonna say this? Well, yeah, especially if you've been on a bitch dick for so long. All of y'all can suck my balls through my drawers because y'all be on my balls so damn hard. But but yeah, for those who enjoy this list for my perspectives about the music and my genuine takes, then yeah, thank you. And be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and all those things. And like this what this page is all about, just the love of music. And the thing is, like, when it comes to my like TikTok page, I really don't want to get too much into things that I don't care for. The only reason why I would have even acknowledged anything that I don't like is because it was on the list. But going forward, like, I really want to be intentional about talking about music because I am an artist, and I don't really care to like go in on things that are like whack or. But if it's something that people are talking about, like, okay, like J. Cole's grippy verse thing, right? I'm just like, okay, when have J. Cole ever been whack? Are y'all just saying this because of the battle and this and that? And I listen to it and it's like, okay, I get why people are calling it whack. Whack. Like, it's not that I don't get that. It's just listening to the song, I'm like, okay, this isn't the song where you would. This isn't a song where I'll speak for myself. This isn't a song where I would expect the best J. Cole bars on here. I would expect him to just have a good time. And it's like, oh, but he don't rap like this. This is not what he usually do. This and that. I'm like, y'all, if y'all don't leave this man alone, he he just want to have some fun. He just want to talk about gripping on hips or whatever he was talking about on the song. He just want to, rap with the youngins or whatever. He's tired of trying to save y'all lives with these raps. He just trying to switch up the vibe. And I think that's his intention going into this. You know what I mean? I don't think he went into the song with the intention like, oh, I'm about to give my best verse on this. Like, he was just trying to have a good time. Like, and I think and I get it because it's like, because he's been rapping so long and he has a reputation and this perspective that, he is, lyrical, spherical. You expect hard bars and word plays and double entendres, especially with what he's been putting out lately. So that expectation is there. I get that. But, at the same time, he is an artist and he is allowed to experiment and, try different things out. But like, I'm not gonna say it's whack. I think it's just like, all right, whatever. It's just not. I didn't expect it to be his best. After hearing the song, I'm like, okay. My only really real criticism was that I felt like he was trying to rap like Drake. But normally, if it weren't for the fact that a lot of people were talking about it, I try my best to not, you know, shit on anybody or, talk about topics that would require heavy criticism. Because I think that was a mistake that I've made in the past. And especially because I'm an artist and and because even in the position that I am now in my career, have seen my work and my creativity replicated in these bigger spaces. So even though technically it doesn't appear that I'm a peer of these folks, but creatively, I guess I would be considered that. Because like, why would you copy off of somebody that you're not inspired by? You know, or at least have a respect for the creativity, if not the person. Like, because why copy something you don't like? I don't know. That's just my way of thinking. But and so with that in mind, I'm like, okay, let me be intentional about what I say, because you never know, like, who you might want to like collaborate with. Like I was saying about the situation with SZA and Rihanna. That's my conspiracy theory. That's my R&B conspiracy theory. And I'm sure SZA wasn't thinking like, one day I might be collaborating with Rihanna, so let me not tweet this. She was just enjoying Twitter like everybody else. She was just interacting on that app like any other person, or critiquing or throwing her opinion up there, just like some of these celebrities do. And then sometimes it's like one of those situations where it's like years down the line you might actually meet the person that you're talking about. And I know and mind you, there are certain things that I've said with the assumption that I was speaking in private spaces, and I'm just like thinking out loud like most people would probably do in the privacy of their own homes. Like, I can only imagine the shit that Beyonce be saying about these girls in her home by herself or with her husband or with her friends, and they be kikiing like, "Oh girl, did you see that outfit? It was not giving this and that." because Beyonce is a human being, and she's a black woman at that, and like, and we see how her mom be cutting up online. I'm pretty sure she has her opinions, and she be having her talks and her kikis with her girls. But we don't see that side because she doesn't allow us to, and it's really not our business. We don't need to see that side. But she's a human being, and I'm sure she has those moments where she's like, "Oh, girl, that outfit was not it." But because she is the Beyonce, she has to present a certain way when she's in public spaces, and she can't really give her opinions. That's why even in that elevator situation, I won't go too much into it, but even in that situation, if that video never came out, she was already thinking like 20 steps ahead. Like, okay, there's a camera in here. I'm not about to wild out on this man. I'm gonna stand here and not do nothing because I'm Beyonce and I'm not about to do anything that could potentially tarnish my look and my image and my brand. But go off, sis, because she knows how to play the game. But I'm sure when it's just her and her sister in that car, oh, fuck this nigga, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I know he didn't hit. But we don't see that side unless she put it on the record and put it on the music. You know what I'm saying? But, there's many times where I've said a thing or two in the privacy of my own space. Or, talking with people thinking that it was a private conversation. And then lo and behold, oh no, it was not, and people, and I think it's unfair to critique somebody in that way where it's like, oh, but you said this about me. Well, first of all, yeah, because I can say whatever the fuck I want, and y'all can say whatever you want about me. You can have your opinions, true or not, or fabricated, whatever. But it's one thing if I'm saying it to your face versus me saying it, or maybe giving a thought or giving a perspective and an opinion. But I think it's unfair to like be like, oh, but you said this and that. Because me, I'm not. I say the shit that I be thinking to people if it mattered. But whatever. This is beside the point. I'm just saying, going forward, I try to be more intentional about what I talk about on pop culture. I don't want to critique people as much because, or at least not in a negative way. I more so want to speak about the things that either provoke a conversation, can be informative, or I'm, giving somebody praise, or if something like messed up happens and acknowledging that, like what happened with Kelly Rowland on the red carpet. I think that was a messed up situation, especially her as a black woman. And then to see that it wasn't just her that happened to. There was another, I believe, actress that happened with the girl with the cape with Jesus on it. Now, I did see some people in the comments say that apparently you were supposed to pay to be able to take pictures in that middle section. And so security was regulating that. And it's like, oh no, you don't have the package to take the picture here. If that's the case, then that gives a different perspective about that. But I'm like, but I feel like Kelly Rowland's team can afford that. You know what I mean? If that is the case, I'm sure she would have included in her package, oh yeah, by the way, while I'm here in Cannes, I'm going to be able to take this picture in the middle. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know how true that is. Like I said, I saw that in the comment section. I didn't see any, like I didn't read up on that particular detail, but I figured, I'm like, okay, if that's true, then okay, I might understand that. But how they went about it was very aggressive and rude and inconsiderate. And I'll talk about stuff like that because I think that's actually important. But I don't want to get on here and really like shit on an artist or say something's whack. I might consider it and maybe like share my perspectives, but I don't know. I'm trying to be more intentional while I'm on here, because like I said, I'm an artist and I'm a person, and I have feelings about my work as well. And I try to be fair. I never want to just like dog a person, you know what I mean? Or like shit on them and like say they're like the worst thing ever or whatever the case may be. If I disagree with something or I might not like it, then I'll share that. But I don't want to do it in a way where I'm saying like, oh, this person is whack and they should never create ever and they don't deserve a place on this planet. Like that shit is corny to me. But I will give my perspectives from a honest and fair place. So, and if that's what y'all like, if that's what you vibe with, then hey, that's what we do here. We keep it real. We keep it authentic. Because some of these other fans will lie to y'all and say their favorite artist's album is amazing, even though they might not even like some of the songs. But I'm gonna let you know. I'm like, nah, I do like this album. This is what I like about it. Or I don't really care for this, but I will tell you what I do like, but I'm gonna be honest though, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah. But anyway, that's all right. This is going on like 3 hours. This is longer than I wanted it to be. But there was some big albums on here. It was a lot of skipping, but it was a lot of albums that um had some impact, or that I remember like the time and stories, and just what it meant to me. So yeah. But anyway, that's it. We're gonna wrap this up right here. I got a little bit of time until I gotta be back on here to do what do you call it? Snooze at our spot. I'm gonna try my best to finish it. Oh yeah, that's right. So I still haven't even like listened to all the takes. But if I don't do it before then, I might just do it during the live stream and y'all just gonna have to like listen with me. And it is what it is. But either way, it's your girl Narice. Thanks for stopping on by. If you enjoy the vibe, subscribe, like, comment with respect. And I will see y'all in a little bit.